Right, so hello, welcome back to the channel, and Kieran Trippier, what's actually happened to him? Because in yesterday's Carabao Cup quarter-final, he came on as a substitute at half-time, and I mean, he was completely at fault for the Chelsea equaliser in the 92nd minute, and then in the penalty shootout, it was just more heartbreak for the lad. But what's going on with him? And before we get into that, if you could share the video and subscribe as well, it really helps the channel out a lot as well. We're trying to hit 300 subs as soon as possible, so every little helps with that. But let's get back into it. Now, I don't want to get on Kieran Trippier's back because mistakes happen in football. It genuinely happens to the best players. Messi has missed penalties, so has Ronaldo. Thiago Silva's made mistakes leading towards goal. It happens in football, but he's been making a fair few mistakes in his last few games. And for those of you who did not see the mistake, I mean, he comes on at half-time, he does fine for the rest of the game. I mean, I'll get on to Chelsea's actual performance in a bit, but he does fine, nothing happening really. Ball coming into the box, he looks like he's in two minds, either to head it out for a corner or head it back to Dubravka, and he just kind of touches it in the air, and it lingers around, and Mudryk, quick as a flash, comes onto it, puts the ball into the back of the net, and 92nd minute goes straight to penalties, no extra time. I mean, it's a massive, massive mistake, and it was the mistake that ultimately cost Newcastle. Then, speaking of the penalty shootout as well, it just so happened to be, you know, after a penalty each of scoring, I mean, Trippier, when he was walking up to take the penalty, you could tell he looked nervous, and, you know, a lot of people will be like, well, it's fine, he'd score, get his confidence back up, but it really looked like he was thinking about that mistake and being like, I really need to score to redeem myself. And sometimes when players do that, he tried to get it too much in the side netting. What I mean by that is, I know that the Chelsea goalkeeper, he's a brilliant penalty saver, but at the exact same time, it doesn't need to be in the corner. Not many goalkeepers can get to that corner, and he's gone, put it to the left-hand side, the goalkeeper's right, and it struck the outside of the post and gone wide, and yeah, you just knew it was going to happen, but you felt for him at the time as well, unless obviously you're a Chelsea, Sunderland fan, or you just don't like Newcastle, then fair enough, really. And the other mistakes, I mean, 2 mistakes against Everton. Goodison, tough place for anyone to go, really. It is a cauldron. They had the points deduction, and since their point deduction, they've looked fantastic. Even a bit before that, they looked really good. Their only loss in about 8 or 9 games is against Manchester United and last night on penalties to Fulham. But Kieran Trippier makes 2 mistakes where he just doesn't get his feet sorted out. Terrible back pass. I mean, that cost them the game at Everton. Then, of course, you also have to look at the game against Tottenham, where Tottenham beat them 4-1, and Trippier, again, one of the Tottenham goals, ball gets played in, he can't sort his feet out, looks to head the ball up and behind, but again, decision making coming into play of just being quite poor, and positioning wise, Son gets the ball and puts it into the back of the net. So it's the 3rd game he's played where he's looked a bit shaky. And look, I saw people online saying, oh, it's a gambling problem, you know, he's in with like Tonali and the Italians. No, I know he had that one wee spell at Atletico Madrid where he did get a match suspension for gambling, but come on, it's just a mistake or 2 that he's been making, and if anything, it's more fatigue than a gambling problem, which is just ridiculous, really. Because Kieran Trippier, he's 33 years old. Now, I know that's not old, but at the same time, when players start to hit 34, 35, that's when their careers start to slowly dwindle. And what I mean by their careers, because I know you're going to say there's a ton of players, but just their abilities and the fact that they get a little bit slower, they need to adapt their game a bit more. And I know Kieran Trippier's game has never been reliant on his speed or anything like that. It's been on crossing, passing, reading the game well, and a lot of stamina as well. But maybe getting a bit more fatigued, his stamina's going to come into play, getting that bit older. But the way Newcastle play football as well, it's high intense, it's a lot of pressure that's going on. Get the ball back as quick as they can. Last night it was a bit different because we saw Newcastle sitting a lot deeper than they usually do. It was almost reminiscent to what they looked like before the takeover of try and get an early goal and defend that lead. And you can tell a lot of the players are fatigued. It's not just Kieran Trippier, but he comes on at half-time for Emil Kraft, who again has gone off injured because of a gash in his leg. But Trippier has played pretty much every minute for Newcastle since he arrived. I know he didn't play the Fulham game the other week where they won 3-0, but last season, this year, he's played a lot of games. And the fact that injuries have very much hampered this Newcastle squad. I know, again, Man United, Chelsea, everyone's got their injuries. I'm well aware of that, but I'm just making a point for Newcastle. Injuries haven't helped them, yes, I know. And as I said, you've got to get on with it, but at the same time, rotating the squad-wise, it's not really panned out for them being in all these competitions. These things aren't likely to happen. And as well, this is the first time that Trippier's looked quite poor in a Newcastle top, which it's been bizarre because he's arguably been their most consistent player. And alongside that as well, you could make an argument that Kieran Trippier has been Newcastle's best signing since Alan Shearer signed for the club. And as well as that, he's their most important signing because he was the first player to sign as the takeover happened. I know Bruno was the big money player and he's been superb for Newcastle, and you can argue he's maybe been the best signing since Shearer, but at the same time, Trippier, if he doesn't go, I don't know who comes to Newcastle. So it's hard to criticise him when he's had just the one poor spell for Newcastle. Now, Newcastle's next two games, away at the Kenilworth in Luton. It's going to be a tough game because you've seen Arsenal struggle there, you've seen Liverpool struggle there, and you've even seen Man City struggle there. I know they all kind of got something from the game as well, but Luton have made that place really dangerous, and not a lot of teams are looking forward to going to the Kenilworth, so it's going to be a tough game for Newcastle. Now, what I would suggest for Trippier, obviously Eddie Howe knows a lot more than I do, but at the exact same time, I'd probably just give Trippier the start to give him that confidence, saying, hey, look, we trust you. I'd give him about 45 to 60 minutes. I don't think that would hurt anyone. Then bring him off for like a Dan Burn, Livramento, something like that. Whoever you've got on the bench, bring him off for Trippier because you need to give him some rest. Then for Boxing Day, Newcastle host Nottingham Forest. And look, I'd give Trippier the start again. Play him 60, 70 minutes, take him off. Make sure that it's like, hey, look, we trust you, and the only reason we're taking you off is to keep you fresh for the next two games, which are Liverpool away on New Year's Day, which, I mean, we know what Newcastle and Liverpool have been like over the last few years, and at the exact same time, 5 days later, they are away at Sunderland in the FA Cup, which is so important because Sunderland are going to be up for that. They've just got Michael Beale in charge, so who knows how they're going to be prepared. And Newcastle going massive favourites, and they'll be expected to thrash Sunderland. Trippier needs to be in the right mindset, have the right confidence, and be fit enough for that game. And as I said about the Newcastle squad, I mean, they've still got those injuries. Joelinton, Shaw went off in their last game. Anthony Gordon and Emil Kraft went off injured in the game against Chelsea. Botman returned, but again, I'm not sure if he's match fit. I think it was very much like when Willock got thrown back into the squad. Dan Burn came on for him. I'm not even sure if he's 100% match fit as well, but I know someone like Dan Burn is going to give it his all for Newcastle as well. That Newcastle squad, it's looking very thin. You also have a thin squad in Chelsea that is slowly but surely boosting up. Now, originally, I was probably going to make a video where Chelsea, their home support yesterday was poor. It was so poor. I mean, it just said Champions of Europe, you'll never sing that. And that's pretty much it. They only piped up when the goal went in, and I get it, 92nd minute goal, but there wasn't any encouragement from the fans. And look, I don't want to bash any fans on here, but when Chelsea, they're struggling, and they were clearly on the front foot for a lot of the game, where they lack that quality, that's where the fans need to get into it. Really make Stamford Bridge a fortress and give the players some encouragement. People like Jackson, you know, maybe a bit low on confidence, give him some confidence in the way that you just support him. Now, Chelsea as well, they've got a lot of players coming back, and Nkunku made his first appearance. Now, he can have that bit of quality, but it's going to take time, being out with a knee injury, only just coming back, and you can't be over-reliant from him. As well as that, Chelsea, their squad is so young, and that's where their problem lies, in the fact that they've bought such young players. They've not really got a lot of experience. They've obviously got Thiago Silva, Raheem Sterling's got to be one of the more experienced players, but everyone else is so young. There's no one in the middle ground. They've not got a balanced squad in terms of age and experience, youthfulness. It's a lot of just, let's hope this guy's good. Enzo Fernandez hasn't been good enough. He got taken off. I'm pretty sure it was from an injury. So we'll wait and see. Chelsea, who knows what's going on with them at the minute. But in terms of Chelsea, they got the win. Mudryk got his goal. That'll do his confidence the world of good. And maybe he could kick on. He looked like he was having a bright spell. Went out, I'm pretty sure he was injured. And, you know, we'll wait and see where he's at for now. But thank you guys so much for watching the video. Let me know your thoughts on Kieran Trippier and Newcastle. If you think it is injuries, confidence, fatigue, age, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear more, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe. It really helps the channel out immensely. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah, cheers.